What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the lab. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. It's great to be here. Good to see you. I wasn't going to come on tonight, but I feel like this is sort of I think it's an important update. I'm not exactly sure what it tells us, but it tells us something that it's he's whoever this is, and we'll get into this more as the show goes on. But it feels like this is a casing of a house, maybe a dry run. The fact that he was there before, and it's just a really weird update. The sheriff states it's speculation now. Where did he? So did the sheriff come out and dispute this again? Well, see, the thing is, it's not an official report from law enforcement, and so who knows? Of course he did. Of course he did. Do you know what? Did he just release another? Did he release a statement? Unreal. Yeah, the timestamps didn't dispute it exactly. He just said it's speculation. All right, well, we'll get into that. Let me say hi to some people, and then we'll get going here. The sheriff is speculation. The sheriff is on my last nerve. Anyone seen I haven't seen that. Good to see you guys. Do I see what? The speculation? What's happening? Surprise. What is it? What is it that I don't see for the? Let's see here. Good to see you guys. Well, it is good to be here again, and thank you for making the lab a part of your night. It has been a rainy, wet one here in Northern California. It's speculation that he's the actual sheriff, not pretending to be one. You don't listen to what the sheriff has to say anymore. Well, we're gonna get into it, and I think there's plenty of it to discuss. And there's a sheriff. The government did it. Well, I don't know if you guys saw Brian Enton's show tonight, but his guest sort of alluded to that the person that may be involved may have some inside information or a person in law enforcement, ex-person in law enforcement, or something along those lines. and which I thought was a stunning thing to say, and kind of wild with already all the speculation of cover-ups and things like that. I was fascinated by this interview, and it's just I don't know. Let me just add this really quick. Hi, Josh. What do you think? Why do you think they wouldn't tell us that the clips were from different days from the start? I think the reason would be that the sheriff has made up his mind that these are things that he feels are important. Maybe he doesn't know if they are from the same day or not. But then again, the FBI could be keeping stuff from the sheriff. The sheriff could be keeping stuff from the FBI. Maybe that's why I think maybe he went with this lab in Florida. And I think that there's a sort of a power vacuum going on. This is speculation on my part, but I don't think everybody's sharing information the way that I guess you would probably share it in a normal investigation. There seems to be some distrust, some I don't know, some angst, and yeah, maybe some ego. There's a lot of that involved as well. I saw it firsthand in the Summer Wells case, where the sheriff's department was offered the Cold Case Foundation's help at no charge to them, and they stuck their nose up at it. I mean, they stuck their nose up at it, and it's just a really, really sad thing that seems to be happening. But I don't think. How do I say this? I don't think that it's maybe as bad as people think it is, but it can't be good for the investigation. I enjoyed TIR last night and learned from it. And she said she thought the FBI was in charge. The FBI is not in charge of this investigation. And Enton's interview kind of explains that a little bit, and we'll get into that here in just a few minutes. But I did see, if you guys hadn't seen, that Nick Reiner, Carl Reiner's, Rob Reiner, was it Rob? Carl's the grandfather. Rob is the father. I saw him plead not guilty today. He had kind of a smirk on his face. The smirk was very off-putting, I got to tell you. I could guarantee you, I can guarantee you that if I was in his position and not guilty, I would not be smiling. It's just such a sad, tragic story. But let's go ahead and just start off, since there is new reporting tonight. I think that he is. I think so. I think that's probably going to be the case, but I just don't know. I don't know. All right. Go ahead and play this, and then we'll react to it. We'll get your guys' thoughts on it as well.
There were those two surveillance photos which you just had on your screen. The one where he has the backpack on, and the one where the person does not have the backpack on, which was always peculiar.
We're talking about, and I heard this discussed. On Nancy Grace the other day. Nancy Grace had a guy on that said that he thought that they were identical twins. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I certainly remember it. How could I forget it? And she I mean, I thought it was kind of a identical twins wearing the same exact clothing, uh, once with a backpack, once with not. But does anybody remember that? I thought that was kind of funny. I mean, he was pissed that he even broached the subject of it being oh man, of it being
To us,
identical twins.
wondering why would he have had the backpack on and then not the backpack on if it was the same day. Well, it turns out it.
Okay, so these are two different photos, which a lot of people pointed out. I wasn't sure about. I thought maybe the guy had just, I don't know. I don't know why he would take his backpack off and put it down. But nothing makes sense here. I don't understand why you would case somebody's house to kidnap them. I don't understand why you would case somebody's house for the front door. Why you would come back and there be and not know about the Ring doorbell or whatever. I mean, it just, I don't know.
Is not the same day. I am told he had the backpack on in the photo, and that is from the morning of right before the alleged kidnapping. The other photo on the left side of the screen, Katie, we are now told is from days before. We do not have an exact date confirmed, but it indicates that days before, the kidnapper was at the house days before, potentially casing the house. And something interesting that I've always sort of had in the back of my mind, Katie, is neighbors tell me, and they've said it over and over again, that when the FBI was looking for video, they were specifically asking for video from the evening on January 11th.
January 11th, but that's weeks out. So are we thinking, I mean, is this they're thinking that possibly somebody was casing this house for almost 3 weeks before whatever happened?
Weeks before February 1st when Nancy was kidnapped, January 11th. So is this photo potentially from January 11th? We're going to have to wait and see, Katie.
So two just quick follow-ups there, Brian. Do you know anything about the time that this second photo was taken? That was taken, you said, potentially days before. And also, whoever the source of this information is, are they convinced that this is the same person? Or is this another suspect, given the FBI has said that there are suspects they believe are involved here?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, and we don't know. I mean, is it the same person? I mean, it looks like the same jacket. I've been sort of analyzing it for the last hour, but is it definitely the same jacket? No. So it could potentially be a different person. We don't know the answer to that. In terms of the timing, we don't know that either. I mean, it's clearly at night in both photos, and the one on the right we know is from when the kidnapping happened, which was in the middle of the night, and it appears the one on the left, it's also dark. So it's from nighttime too, but exact timing, exact day, we still don't know, Katie.
But Randy, why do you think it took so long to get this information that these are two separate pieces of timing here?
That is a great question, and I don't understand it. Now, I've had some science behind this investigation. People who have experience in analyzing infrared, and they have told me that they don't believe that this is the same individual based on his footwear. They have examined both of the
What are the chances that it is not? I'm going to let this play.
Photographs. Looked at the infrared footprint on the footwear and said that that's not the same individual based on that footwear and the carbon print.
Okay, but people have more than one pair of shoes. It's not that big of a deal.
Now, of course, why we are getting this information now, it's the consternation here amongst law enforcement and those of us who are examining this. It's really it's amazing.
Yeah, well, when you look at the photo on the left side that we were showing on the screen, to me, initially it looks like a different jacket. It looks somewhat camouflaged to me, and his headwear, his ski mask, is pulled farther down than the photo on the right. And then, of course, he's not wearing the backpack. They both have the same black gloves. But Brian, you know, you've been talking to law enforcement throughout the day, throughout the last 4 weeks.
I mean, okay, it looks like the same jacket to me. Does it not look like the same jacket? I mean, it's got the lighting is a bit different. One's clearer, one's not. I mean, this looks like the same zipper. It's got the black thing going across. I mean, what person has looks like the same jacket?
You went on a tour today to see how the canal system works in Tucson. What are you hearing about the new information they're trying to get to put?
But the other, if you look at the one photo, the fuzzier photo, it doesn't look like his mask has any eye holes. And they're similar build. I mean, this is the same. This is the same person. Come on.
This case together, given
It's the same person.
and we're still putting it together here tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting that they didn't tell us this initially, and it's still not officially coming from the sheriff's office. I mean, these are just sources that we have that are confirming it. Why they didn't want us to know, I was thinking, I mean, if they gave us an exact date, it would actually make it easier for people to go back through their cameras to say, okay, if you knew it was January 11th, if they told everybody that, you know, that would be easier to do than saying, hey, look through a month worth of video. So we don't know why they're not telling us the exact date. In terms of the investigation overall, it was a bit of a frustrating weekend. The sheriff came out and said that they're having challenges with the DNA evidence. Remember, Katie, he chose to send it to his private lab in Florida. Apparently, the DNA is mixed, and now he's saying it could take even a year. That's what he said over the weekend, a year to figure out some of these DNA issues, which for people in the area,
I feel like the sheriff, when he does these things, is kind of setting it up where, because, you know, when he said like this could take days, weeks, which we're already at weeks, months, we're going on months, or years. And now he's talking about DNA could take years. I feel like he's sort of setting it up like, you know, have these low expectations. It's kind of like the old adage, you know, under promise, over deliver, you know, but it's kind of like he's like, well, I told you guys it could take years. He needs a public information officer at to take over this, because everything he says just seems to be pissing people off left and right.
they were not happy to hear that.
So Randy, just given where we are in this investigation, there is a lot of frustration in Tucson. There has been about the way the sheriff has handled this. Brian just laid out the DNA part of the frustration. With this latest information, which is different than what we had before, at least it wasn't revealed, what is your just perspective on how the Pima County Sheriff's Department is handling this?
Well, there's not only frustration in the community here, there's actually frustration within the Pima County Sheriff's Department as well. I've had sources tell me from within the agency that there is a great deal of leadership issues here.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now.
Fredo got me, dude. He got me big time. Sorry, guys. I won't let that happen again. He's such a sneaky little bastard. Okay. Before we get to play this really quick. Okay, so the one guy was just saying, and I strongly disagree with this. It's just an opinion of mine, but I do not think that I don't think they're different people. I think that's the same person. I mean, what are the odds that there would be two different people totally in separate days showing up wearing similar things, built similar? I mean, I just don't believe that. I don't care about the shoes. You know, people wear different shoes. People get new shoes. People lose their shoes. Well, I don't know if people lose their shoes, but I'm sure it happens.
All right, we have some breaking news out of Arizona and the search for 84-year-old Nancy.
People lose their shoes. What the hell?
Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Look at these photos. It appears that the masked suspect who was caught on Nancy Guthrie's front door camera went to her home before the night that she disappeared. These two photos of the suspect were taken on 2 different nights. That is according to sources who spoke with News Nation. You can see in the photo on the left, he's not wearing that backpack or the gun holster that he has in the front on the photo on the right. Let's go right now to News Nation's.
I think I have a little bit of PTSD from when my kids were younger because they would lose shoes, which I don't know if adults do it, but
Brian Enton live for us in
I don't want to talk about it.
Tucson. Brian, how did they get this second photo? Is this from the same Google search of the software from that front doorbell Nest camera?
I think it is.
Yeah, it appears to be from the same camera, Elizabeth, and this is something that has perplexed us for a while because the photos look different. Why was the suspect wearing the backpack? That was the first thing I noticed. Why was the suspect wearing the backpack in one photo, which you see there on the right, and not wearing the backpack in the photo on the left? And now we do have sources confirming to us the reason is because the photos were taken on different days. We know one of the photos is from the day that Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped, early morning hours of February 1st. When that other photo was taken, we do not know the day, but we know that it was not at the same time that the other photo was taken when Nancy was kidnapped. It was a previous day, which would indicate that the suspect was at Nancy's house days before the kidnapping, Elizabeth.
That is chilling. All right, Brian Enton, we'll have the very latest from Tucson. Thank you so much, Brian, for
Not happening, Fredo. Got him. All right, let's just get to the meat and taters here. Meat and taters. It's unbelievable. I find this is a lot of the times it can be repetitive, but this is very interesting, and we'll break it down and give a little commentary to it, and we'll see what Nancy has to say. Was McDonough on Nancy Grace tonight? Does anybody know? I saw him tweet, but let me see. Was he on there? Was he on there? I don't know if he was or not. Some other guy was on there.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show. Really, really appreciate it. Please.
Sammy Sosa, thank you again. It seems like he must have known the camera wasn't working, considering he wasn't worried that she would have seen him the first time and tightened up security. Also, shows up first time, no backpack. Why show up again? Why show up with a backpack the second time? Was he casing the place? Was he? Was it like sort of a dry run, recon or whatever? And is this the only guy involved? I find it hard to believe that he'd be the only guy involved. I really do. That's not true. Are you serious? You're lying.
Click to subscribe. I'm still here in Tucson. I wanted to show you guys. There's a lot of I heard about these tunnels, but there's these tunnels. They're like drainage tunnels, but they go underneath different parts of the city, like where I am now. And there were actually volunteer crews out here searching for.
Well, that was the thought that John Lamb and McDonough were talking about on my show the other night, where they were saying that is this a murder for hire? But why would somebody do a murder for hire on an 84-year-old woman is unfathomable to me. And not saying that it couldn't happen, wouldn't happen, doesn't happen, but
Nancy Guthrie over the weekend in some of these tunnels. And I wanted to show you guys what they look like because some of them go on for quite a while. It's really dark. It's kind of creepy out here, actually. Chris, who's behind the camera, actually scared me a second ago and pretended like there was someone down here. But you can see they basically go underneath a lot of the main roads, and they connect to different parts of these neighborhoods. And like I said, I'm told there's a bunch of them. But in this episode, I'm going to show you the latest with the search efforts. Also, Something really interesting.
Well, I thought the same thing. And once again, this is day 24, day 25. Who was in charge of who's in charge of if there was a family trust or, you would think the will and all that kind of stuff would be settled at some point.
I heard about, could there be a deal worked legally so that someone who has information about where Nancy Guthrie
I think
is
so.
could come forward, someone who may have been involved in the kidnapping could come forward and give the information without getting criminally in trouble. It actually has a legal term. It's called queen for a day. Someone brought it up to me, and I'm going to really dive into this episode, because if a deal could be worked out, could that really move the investigation along?
I've heard of this deal, this queen for a day deal, where they're like, look, we'll give you information for immunity, queen for a day. I mean, I think they could have named it a little better. But I always wonder, like, what if somebody goes to do that and then they back out and they go, oh no, tough shit, we're arresting you. I never know how that stuff works. I mean,
in terms of what happened to Nancy Guthrie. I'm getting into that in this episode, and also this big question of whether the case has gone cold. I have sources who say it is not cold, and I'm going to explain why coming up in this episode of Brian Nancy. All right, guys, I'm outside Nancy's house with a really, really big update on the story. So we have confirmed, you remember there was the pictures of the suspect, the one with him wearing the backpack and the one with him not wearing the backpack, taken on Nancy's Google Nest camera. We have confirmed that these pictures that you are looking at are from different days. The pictures are from different days, which makes sense because a lot of you have been questioning, and I've been questioning, why was he wearing the backpack in one photo and not wearing the backpack in another photo? Did he put the backpack down? It never really made sense.
queen for
Well, now it does. Sources have confirmed to me and also to News Nation correspondent Libby Dean in Washington, D.C.
queen for a day.
That
They
the
are.
photos are from different days. What day? So you've got the photo with the backpack, which is the day that the morning.
I don't think they have a different build. I mean, I think that they have the same build. And I do not, from what I understand, I don't think she had a security system, but she did. It didn't go off or nobody was alerted. And I don't know about the panic button, but I think it would be very important and behoove everybody that has an elderly person in their life that lives particularly or spends any time alone, that they have some sort of life alert system. I think that this is kind of an eye-opening thing for a lot of people, because I mean, if she was in danger immediately, I mean, if she hits that button, they're going to respond. They always do. My grandma hits hers all the time on accident. It's very annoying. Nobody goes into someone's house at night thinking nobody's in there and being armed. He didn't care. Yeah.
The early morning hours, February 1st, that Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped allegedly, and then this other photo from a different day, a previous day. We don't know what day it is. I have not been able to report that yet, but I will tell you, remember that I talked to several neighbors here who said that the FBI and detectives were specifically asking them about video from January 11th, which would have been weeks before Nancy Guthrie disappeared. So perhaps that is the day that the first photo is from. That I cannot confirm yet, though. I just know that it is from a previous day. It is from a different day. So this opens up a whole new can of worms. Was the suspect casing the house? I mean, it would appear the answer to that is yes. Was he planning to kidnap Nancy on a previous day and then backed out and then came back? That is a possibility. But this apparently was not just a random act where someone decided to do this at the last minute.
And I've never thought that it was a random act. I know that a lot of people crap on me for my theory. I won't go into it, but I still, for whatever reason, do not understand why or how why somebody would be in the house for like 40-something minutes.
And came to Nancy's house and took her, because again, I have now confirmed that the pictures, the photos, the surveillance pictures from Nancy's Google Nest camera are from different days. One with the backpack from the day of the kidnapping, and the one without the backpack from a previous day. So this is really opens up a new can of worms of what happened here. I'm going to try to dig in for more information. I want to go to an interview that I did earlier with my buddy, retired FBI agent Steve Moore, to talk about sort of the progress of the case. A lot of people have thought the case has gone cold. By the way, 1 second, something else I just thought of. It's interesting that law enforcement didn't tell us all of this from the beginning in terms of the photos being from different days. And why didn't they? Because obviously the suspect would know that they had the photos from different days, because he's probably seeing them and knowing the one when I'm not wearing the backpack is from a previous day, and the one with the backpack is from the day of the kidnapping. So it's interesting. I wonder what the rationale between law enforcement not telling us that from the beginning is. But anyway, I want you guys.
I don't know. Like I said, so I know people are saying that there's no break-in, nothing was taken. We don't know that. We have no idea.
To hear my interview with retired FBI agent Steve Moore, just about the status of the case right now. A lot of people have been questioning whether it's a cold case. He doesn't think so. He explains why.
Before we get into that, why take her out of the house? That's a huge risk. Also, leaving dead bodies are huge risks as well. So say she died during whatever was intended, instead of just leaving her there, it would make it much more difficult. I don't know, man.
And then also the Queen for a day, which is interesting. You know, it's basically an agreement that prosecutors can make with someone if they have information about the kidnapping.
I was thinking, Don.
If they were involved. There have been other situations where they've made agreements with people to get information out of them, and then they will either get a lesser sentence or no jail time at all. Could that be a possibility? Could that?
I doubt anybody would want the Queen for a day title. Considering all that's happened with this footage apparently being from a different day, do we even know that the 40 minutes is true now? No, I mean, I don't think I know.
Come up in a case like this. I want you guys to hear my conversation with Steve. I am joined now by retired FBI agent Steve Moore. Steve, it's nice to see you. I've lost track of days since I've been here. I guess it's now day 23, which is
wow.
Yeah, I didn't think, when I came here, I was just telling you, I was just getting a new rental car. I mean, I keep extending because I keep thinking that I thought maybe I'd be here a few days, and it's not going to take more than a week. And we've reported that, that this isn't a cold case. NBC News is now reporting today, according to 3 law enforcement sources, that this is not a cold case. And I'm always kind of interested in the NBC reporting just because of their connection to Savannah Guthrie,
Right.
What do you think? I mean, what's your sense?
Well, it's certainly not a hot case. And the way I would define that is that if they thought something was going to happen right now, the last thing they would be doing is releasing assets. People going back to their home offices, agents going back to their divisions.
So this guy says something interesting, but but there's no confirmation of this either. Shocker again, that he's saying that people are being sent back to where they're stationed, and that they're peeling back people that are connected to the case, working the case. I don't know.
So they don't think it's imminent, but it is not cold to where they assign it just to 1 or 2 agents and they see what they can do with it. So technically, no, I would not call it cold. I would say that it is cooled off quite a bit. And they, I guess the one case that I would analogize this to is the what do you call Olympic bomber,
Yeah.
from Atlanta. That case went years, and I don't know how many times I was just told to get on a plane and get to a city they had a suspect possibility, and that was back when I was working surveillance, and we would jump on these things. So the FBI has the capability to kind of sit there spring loaded, ready to go, but maybe not eating up hotel time and keeping agents from being at their home office working on their own cases.
Yeah. So at what point do you think they start to peel back agents?
I understand they've done that.
They're starting to do that.
Yes, I'm sorry. I got a call here, so I'm going to silence my phone.
No problem. Happens to me all the time.
Who's Bob? I don't know who's Bob, Eric. I don't think you're disrespecting me at all. And I don't think I'm right either. I mean, I just, like I said, it's just my thought. And I don't, like I said, I don't even care if I'm right. I'm just saying that to me, that's what has made most sense. And Bob, whoever Bob is, saying that taking a body out is high risk. Well, you know what else is high risk? Kidnapping somebody. That's extremely high risk. All of it is high risk. When you're removing somebody from their home, which seems to have been what happened, it's all high. The whole thing's high risk.
My understanding is that they are already releasing assets back. I can't confirm that, but my understanding is that agents are being told that they may be going back to their divisions, at least until more information comes up. I mean, if you've got 50 evidence response technicians, they're highly skilled, highly trained people who are of no, they're brought in from other divisions, usually like Los Angeles or San Francisco, maybe Dallas, something like that. They are important to their own divisions. And so while they're out there in Tucson, they can't help with what's going on at home. So they may pull those back, and those offices, make no mistake, are asking for those people back at the earliest possible opportunity. So what you come up with is there's a hot standby where you're standing by on the scene, and there's kind of a ready standby when you're in your division, which is, probably take you 6 hours to get to Phoenix, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're still packed, ready to go, but there's nothing for you to do there. I mean, you process the scene about 20 times.
Yeah. One of the top questions I've been getting comes back to the timeline. And I was just looking back at it again, that the doorbell was disconnected at 1:47 a.m. and that her pacemaker app disconnected from her phone at 2:28 a.m. So it's like a 41-minute window from when it seems, the person was at the front door and disconnected the camera to when she was moved far away.
I also, I got your message. I responded to you. I don't know if you've seen it.
From her phone or maybe her Apple Watch with the pacemaker disconnected. So 41 minutes.
I think so.
I mean, what do you think was happening in that 40? I'm just trying to think about that 41-minute time frame. Does that seem like a long time to you? Because if you were going to go in and kidnap someone, wouldn't you do it faster than in 41 minutes?
Okay. This is
41 minutes.
This is important. Oh, I got you, Eric. Yeah, he did say that. He did say that. No question. It is high risk. The whole thing is high risk to me.
From her phone or maybe her Apple Watch with the pacemaker disconnected. So 41 minutes. I mean, what do you think was happening in that 40? I'm just trying to think about that 41-minute time frame. Does that seem like a long time to you? Because if you were going to go in and kidnap someone, wouldn't you do it faster than in 41 minutes?
Yes, that would be the expectation. The entire time you're in that house, what if she had a silent alarm going off? What if she had, being elderly, what if she had a neck alarm saying I have a medical emergency. It makes no sense for them to stay in that house for as long as they did. And there is no doubt in my mind that that's causing the agents on the case pause. And this may be one of the main reasons that there are questions about whether kidnapping was the initial reason for the entry into the home, or whether it became a kind of an adjunct, something that they could leverage later on, or whether there was no intent at kidnapping at all, and it's just a ruse.
Like something happened to her. I'm just thinking again, 41 minutes. Like, do you think it could have been a burglary and then something happened to her? Or what do you, when you say a ruse, what do you mean?
Well, first of all, burglars do not carry guns generally. They may carry something else, but if you have a gun at a burglary scene, your charges are enhanced crazily.
Look, these guys have, eons of experience, and I'm not trying to dispute what they're saying because they're experts. I'm not. But not all criminals are the same. They don't all do things the same. Just because he had a gun doesn't really mean that much, does it?
And you stand a good chance of getting shot by somebody inside if they're armed. Generally, burglars do not come in armed with anything more than a club or maybe a concealed knife. And if you are going to carry a gun, you are not going to make it visible. That's just foolishness. So the visible gun makes me lean away from a pure kidnap or from a pure burglary and more to something else. And the other things that you could think about just make the mind sick. So I've tried to avoid concentrating on that too much, but there could be other types of crime that they were engaged.
All right. So Ann K says, if Tommaso was he in financial trouble? I don't know. Drugs, gambling, debt, his past with bands, and Derek's text don't seem coincidental. I can't get past that. I can't get past the text. And it would, if they haven't released their car yet, are they keeping it for evidence? Carlos got his car back. I don't know, man.
Like, we don't have to go deep into it. I get it, but you're like a sexual assault kind of thing. Are you thinking? Yeah. It's awful to think about with anyone, let alone an older,
age
grandma.
Age is not protection against that.
Yeah, I heard someone else saying that.
So the man that was arrested for trying to extort money early on in this investigation in Los Angeles, maybe it wasn't a text, maybe it was a phone call, excuse me. He called Annie and Tommaso's phone.
And it's terrible to think about.
So I've been away from.
Why he would call both of their phones and not just one of their phones says he got it off the internet. Why not just call just one of them? I mean, I don't.
I'm home for a while for work, and one of the things I miss so much are my factor meals. They cannot harm you. If they can't find you, click the link below to claim your 60% off and get your personal data off the market.
So if the case, again, you don't think it's going cold, but it's getting cooler.
Text them.
When you're an agent on the case, or
I thought it was a phone call, but I have to check.
A supervisor on the case, like, what do you do now? I mean, are you just going back and looking at old leads again and for a second time? What do they do in a situation like
that? But he got that from the internet, but he didn't call Savannah. He didn't call the son. He just called Annie and Tommasio or whatever his name is. text and 9-second call. Got it.
At some point, there are good things about less visibility, or I'm sorry, the case being drawn down, and there are bad things. One of the good things is less visibility, and all of a sudden, the case agent becomes able to work the case the way they.
So who did he call? So he texted both of them and called one of them. How would he even know? How would Tommaso even come up on a Google search like that as the son-in-law of Nancy Guthrie? I mean, maybe a Facebook page. I don't know.
Wanted to work it. When you get a case like this, when the president of the United States has commented on it, when the director of the FBI is commenting on it, the problem is that there are 20 or 30 people in a very small kitchen. And as a case agent, you sometimes feel like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. None of you are as experienced as I am in this situation. Would you please let me do it my way? I can guarantee you that pure investigative
Tomato had his number listed with his band contact info. Was he like doing bar mitzvahs and stuff? The wedding singer?
Pure investigative action.
Can you get booked through Facebook?
Has
Oh man, if you're doing that at 45, 50 years old, it's over.
Been compromised by political concerns, by concerns about getting along with the sheriff's department, and other issues like that. When the case starts to draw down a little bit, all of a sudden you find you have a lot more freedom to explore things the way you want.
So less attention may be a good thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking about a case I was on where I was actually on the wrong side of this equation. There was a believed to be a top 10 most wanted person in a small town in Montana. And they sent like 8 of us, and I was one of them. They sent 8 of us to do surveillance on this person and try to find them. And we worked for a week trying to locate them. And the closest we came to one day is we saw him in traffic during a snowstorm and were unable to catch him. The single agent that worked that town had worked it for 25 years and said, if y'all would just leave, I'll have this guy, and he was right. After we left, about 2 weeks later, he just walked into a place where they were playing cards, sat down next to the guy and arrested him. And so these things sometimes get more energy and more traction when management isn't involved.
Let's see. What is it? Yeah, well, I think that the LA guy was in a band too.
Let's go back to the beginning with the sheriff. And they it seems like they didn't do a great job processing the scene. At least those are some reports, because then the FBI had to come back in and they had opened up the crime scene. Do you think that they did damage that could be a big issue now that can't be undone?
That's certainly a possibility, Brian. The issue is, first of all, I want to say that I don't know what they know. They've got evidence that I don't know of, and they have complications and dead ends that they found that we still might think are open. So I'm only going to go discuss these things in terms of complications rather than, what they might have resulted in. It is a complication when you get a case where you've got somebody missing, you haven't gotten a ransom note, and you don't know that it's a pure taking for ransom at that point, especially because there's visible blood. So at that point, you may think that you have a violent takeover and a taking of a person, not necessarily.
I mean, and this is this is totally a possibility. You know, how many people have held up a bank with a fake weapon before? I mean, it happens a lot. Sometimes it's just by note. I have a weapon in my pocket or something, you know. I mean, it could be there for intimidation. Yeah.
Clearly a ransom thing. So you, as the sheriff's department, are working this with the assumption that you only have a few hours, maybe 24, to find this person. And so you are thinking less of a long-term detailed investigation as you are finding obvious clues that will let us go right now and do something. So the philosophy of the case in the first 24 hours is we've got a missing, possibly injured person. This could be a violent thing. We've got to find her. So I understand why certain things had to be done. You know, you can't go in and even search the place for her to see if she's in a closet or somewhere without damaging the crime scene. That's just the way it is. So that's a big complication. I think releasing the crime scene as early as they did, I didn't see the reason to do that. I mean, are you concerned that you don't want to have an officer guarding it at night? That one I didn't understand.
Yeah, it seemed like it just happened maybe too quickly.
Yeah, that certainly is a strong possibility.
I was thinking about the ransom notes, and the Bitcoin account, and you know, the emails that went to TMZ, and the messages that went to the local TV station. I guess I would have thought by now the FBI, with all of their resources, would have been able to track some of that.
Yeah, it is extremely tough to when somebody is adept at hiding their location. I mean, they'll bounce these things off like 10 different locations all over the world. You know, as sender, from sender to sender to forward, it's extremely difficult. And you know, as far as you know, what the FBI probably we think should have found. Yeah, I think as an FBI agent that a lot of this stuff would seem to be within the FBI's capability. But I can't tell you how many times as an FBI agent I was disappointed when they said, "Steve, there's just no way we can get anything from this or from that." And they don't have to tell us, they don't have to tell me why it didn't work. I just know, you know, I don't know what they're doing, but I know who they are. And I think that they are extremely capable with the tiniest
I think that sometimes, and then I think that everything that they know gets leaked, and then like I'm gonna, after this is done, I'm gonna bring up the sheriff's. I mean, he released another statement contradicting, or sort of not. I mean, he's sort of refuting. Things are all speculation. You know, who knows at this point?
bits of evidence to do amazing things. So the fact that we haven't seen something tangible yet indicates to me that somebody has either been extremely lucky in how they did this, or they have made some pretty good plans that have possibly stymied the FBI. And at this point, I would actually, as an agent, start looking at people who know how these things are investigated. You know, it's not going to be somebody who's kidnapped before, because those people are all in prison or dead. It is somebody possibly who knows how kidnappings occur. I remember we had a string of bank robberies in LA, and we could not figure out how they were getting around us, how they knew to hit the banks we weren't at or we weren't watching. And it turned out to be law enforcement, you know, or rogue law enforcement who knew how to use radios and stuff. So that's where I would be leaning right now.
Okay, so this guy just said on a national program that he would be leaning towards somebody that is either in or was in law enforcement or has a friend in law enforcement. I mean, oh, wow. Holy shit. I mean, that is a firebomb. If you it's no, of course it's not impossible, but people are already chasing the sheriff around with pitchforks and torches. And this is not going to help turn the temperature down at all. Not that that's his job. I mean, and Mikey, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oof. Let's
So
look.
when you
Kidnappings, it is who know
It is speculation, but coming, yeah.
how these things are investigated. You know, it indicates to me that somebody has either why it didn't work. I just know, you know, I don't know what they're doing, but I know who they are. And I think that they are extremely capable with the tiniest bits of evidence to do amazing things.
All right.
So the fact that we haven't seen something
before he goes into this, but why send the ransom notes to the, I don't think the ransom notes have anything to do with this anymore. Harvey's not getting his daily updates and requests. I just don't think that I don't think that the ransom notes have anything to do with anything at this point. I think it's all bull, personally.
Tangible yet. Indicates to me that somebody has either been extremely lucky in how they did this, or they have made some pretty good plans that have possibly stymied the FBI.
It's like Dexter, when he worked for the sheriff's department, he was like the blood splatter analysis guy, and he could get away with stuff because he had inside information. Not saying that it doesn't happen.
And at this point, I would actually, as an agent, start looking at people who know how these things are investigated. You know, it's not going to be somebody who's kidnapped before, because those people are all in prison or dead. It is somebody possibly who knows.
I don't understand what he means by that. That somebody that's kidnapped before because they're all in prison or dead. I don't know what that means. Am I missing something? I've listened to that twice.
At people who know how these things are investigated. You know, it's not going to be somebody who's kidnapped before, because those people are all in prison or dead.
But what if they hadn't been caught? That I don't get. I don't understand that one.
It is somebody possibly who knows how kidnappings occur. I remember we had a string of bank robberies in LA, and we could not figure out how they were getting around us, how they knew to hit the banks we weren't at or we weren't watching. And it turned out to be law enforcement, you know, or rogue law enforcement, who knew how to use radios and stuff. So that's where I would be leaning right now.
So when do you mean find someone who has been involved in kidnappings before and try to talk to them to get ideas from them, or what do you mean?
I'm saying that you have to consider the possibility that a former law enforcement officer or somebody like that, somebody who knows enough or has a friend in law enforcement, or who has a friend in a prosecutor's office, those are people who you would consider and say, maybe through them they found out how these things are solved and are working backwards and saying, we're not going to do those things.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that before. There were some reports over the weekend. The New York Post actually had a story with several sources saying that the FBI is frustrated and wanting to take over and just waiting for the sheriff to hopefully at some point give it up, but that it would be the Guthrie family who would have to push for that. Is that really how it works? I mean, if this Guthrie family came forward and said, Sheriff, we want the FBI to take over, is that enough for the FBI to come in and say, okay, we'll do it?
There's no written procedure. There's no point where you say, at this point, the FBI can or may take over a case. There's nothing like that. It is all predicated on voluntary cooperation. And if one side doesn't want to cooperate, there are some things you can do, but they're pretty draconian to take over a case. And what that does.
So I'm seeing a lot of people say that a kidnapping is too risky. A robbery is not likely. So what exactly is left? Murder for hire? And if you're going to murder for hire, does that mean you take the person out of the home as well? Or is this an SA situation? Because it is true that there are very, very disgusting, sick humans that I don't know, man.
Is it harms cases years down the line. So while we are concerned about Nancy and the Guthrie family, one thing the FBI doesn't want to do is make the cooperation between the FBI and law enforcement in Tucson the same as ICE and Minneapolis police.
Dr. Gary Bricado and I did an entire episode on Israel Keys. And you're right.
You want to have a cooperative relationship going forward. And so while you're trying to solve this case, you're also trying not to destroy future working relationships.
I am not in any way, shape, or form just judging this guy. I think what he has to say is quite interesting. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with everything, but I think that he's just sort of hypothesizing.
Also, over the weekend, the sheriff said that there's issues with the DNA. He called them challenges. They're testing DNA from the house. There's also the glove that they found a couple miles away. And apparently some of it is mixed DNA, which is causing issues. And he even said it could take weeks, months, even a year. He said a year, which was kind of alarming to hear. And this is the private lab that they're using in Florida. Do you think that's going to be a serious issue?
Yeah, maybe they should have sent it to the FBI lab.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry, but when you decide against a parent FBI.
So this guy's an old federal agent. And then we had Cece Moore yesterday saying that she completely agrees with the sheriff's handling of the DNA, and she's a DNA expert. And now this guy is saying that it all should be sent to I mean, everybody's spitballing here. Nobody knows shiz.
Disagreement to send this to your lab that you've used instead of the world's foremost crime lab, then you're responsible if it doesn't work out. And so I think that to me is the most glaring issue right now that I would be concerned about if I was the sheriff, that the FBI knew the pitfalls of sending DNA to a private lab, and he did it anyway.
You want to know what I would do if I were the sheriff in this case? If I were the sheriff at this point in the case, I would step back. I would recuse myself. I think that's the word that they use, recuse. And I would say if the FBI, this is such a high profile case, if the FBI is willing to take over, they want to take over the case, I would turn everything over. I mean, at this point, you know, he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. And I think that I don't know. I just that's what I would do. Just from all the heat and, you know, I don't know. And they'd be like, look, the FBI is working this case if they're willing to do it. I don't know if they're willing to do it or not.
Okay. And guess what? The things the FBI was afraid of are exactly what happened.
Yeah. Which I guess if the FBI could just take over, that would alleviate some of these issues.
Yeah, if they could take over, but you know, you've seen all the movies how the FBI always arrives on scene in a suit, and you know they say, "Hey, thanks for all your work here. We don't need you anymore, and please hand us your investigative notes." You know, it's that bad old stereotype of the FBI coming in and taking cases, and the FBI has tried over the past. I know it was a big deal when I was there. Tried not to assert any authority over case, just try to come alongside. I suspect that at the street level, the agents and the detectives are getting along very well. I think where the problem is maybe FBI management and the sheriff not getting along and being concerned about who's appearing to be second fiddle. And I kind of think that if the sheriff would recuse himself, there wouldn't be such a divide.
What I wonder if they're keeping things from the sheriff because
he thinks, but you know, he's an old FBI agent, so he wants the sheriff to recuse himself. I would do it just if I were him because I think that it would probably be best. I mean, I think it would be, it just doesn't seem like they have the resources or the knowledge at this point in time to handle a case of this magnitude that seems to be going in circles. And I hope that I'm completely wrong. And I hope that we wake up this week one morning and they go, we have a suspect. We have somebody in custody. We think we have our guy. We think we have our guys. We think we have, you know, whoever. I hope that that's the case. I just don't think it is right now.
Does interviews and little things seems to leak out. You know what I mean? I wonder behind the scenes if there's stuff that they're doing, the FBI, that they're not even telling the sheriff about.
And let me see. Yes, they automatically do have the jurisdiction. They can't. I don't think that they can. I don't think they have a clear timeline, to be honest with you, Sammy. I really don't think they do.
And vice versa.
Yeah, if you have a friend that you know tells secrets, how do you deal with secrets with them? You keep them to yourself.
Yeah.
And the FBI is not dumb, and they know that, you know, when they see, the FBI despises reading about their investigation in a newspaper or in these days seeing it on a podcast, you know, or hearing it. It's something that just drives them up a wall.
I like what he's doing right now, talking about the investigation.
And there will be immediate consequences for that. And then as a result, the people who are not being told some things are now complaining that the FBI's locking them out. Well,
who puts a flashlight in their mouth like that? That is the first time I have seen that. Electricians, plumbers, people that need light and work with their hands. Although I don't know why somebody wouldn't just use a headlamp at this point.
The FBI is smart enough to know that locking somebody out,
I'm with you,
really doesn't help the investigation unless that's your only That's your last resort.
And just back to the DNA, if they start sending it around to be tested, like they need to do additional testing, or they end up sending it to the FBI, is that an issue? Like, does it wear it down? I don't know if that's the right terminology, but
You mean the DNA itself?
yes, yeah.
The DNA is finite. I mean, every time you do a test, you use part of the DNA. And that was the Amanda Knox case I was involved in years ago. The Italians who were claiming she had murdered somebody had so little DNA that they said, we don't even have any to provide the defense to test it. And so they're saying, well, then you don't have enough. Both sides have to be able to test it. And it turned out it wasn't the blood they claimed it was. It was starch from pasta. And a girl spent 4 years in an Italian prison for that. So the DNA, you can't just shop it around, because then what's going to happen is a defense attorney is going to say, this lab over here said they didn't know whose it was. So then you send it to the FBI lab, the prosecutor, and all of a sudden you knew who it was. And he builds, even if everything they did was legitimate and the FBI found something the private lab didn't. And I'm not saying the private lab is incompetent, by the way, they're probably pretty good. But if you have two different results from the same piece of DNA, you can just throw it out as far as its value in court for prosecution standpoint.
Interesting. I also heard there was a criminal defense attorney this weekend talking about this, they call it like sometimes queen for a day, where someone can
I know. I don't know why that makes me laugh. It's just for some reason it does. Queen for a day.
come forward with a
I mean, I wouldn't mind being queen for a day, but there's got to be guys out there that are like, look, I like this idea, but if you're gonna have to change the name or something, I could just, personally, I'm fine with the name.
lawyer and work with a prosecutor to give information and sort of get like immunity, like maybe someone who knows who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie or who was involved somewhat, on sort of an outer layer, and they can get some kind of deal where
You need to ask Justin what he thinks about this.
hey, for 24 hours, you can give us information and you won't end up getting in trouble, which was really interesting to me, because it seems like if this is cooling down, could that be a way for them to get info?
Yeah, and it's always been like that. I think that the way it was explained to you might have been a little bit general, because what you would do, I mean,
I'd be pissed. All the queens out there should be pissed off.
it was standard policy where, like, we would come in and you would have two possible suspects, and that both of them knew who was involved. And so, I would just go into the first one and say, I have in my hand a golden ticket, and either you or your friend are going to get it. And I flipped a
I would think probably almost never.
coin and came in here first, so you get first shot. One of you two is gonna rat out the other one. That's just the way it's going to happen. And so one of you is going to get a very light sentence or maybe walk, while the other one is going to go to prison for a long time. Do you want the golden ticket, or do you want me to go next door?
No, I want to be the queen. I want to be the queen for the day.
And that's kind of what they were talking about. You can make a deal, and sometimes people come in with their attorneys and say, we want to make a deal. Doesn't mean that person's going to walk, especially if they're involved in a violent crime that ends in death. But it could mean that they will see the outside of a prison again in their life, and the other one won't.
Did you have those situations come up a lot?
Not a lot, but enough to make it interesting.
Yeah. And can the lawyer come and say, look, we're not going to talk to you unless you make this deal, and then we'll give you our info?
Yeah, they can say that.
Yeah. I mean, it's because I'm just thinking, if there's multiple people involved, which it seems like there probably is with this kidnapping, maybe a getaway driver, maybe someone who went around the back of the house, like how could someone pull this off alone without ever telling anyone else? There's got to be other people that know, and this is sort of wearing on them.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if this is a one-person gig. And the FBI knows probably more about it than we do. Like that video they released. I don't for 1 minute believe that that's all the video they got. You know, if they got that much video.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, it seems like they have more video. They would have to say they would have to, but it seems like they would have more video inside the house.
They probably got the stuff before and after that. So they've got a lot more video, and there may be another person involved that they didn't get quite a good video of. I don't know. But yeah, somebody could come in and say, I'd like to make a deal. And then if they say, you know, but we demand this, we demand no criminal prosecution, we say no, at least now we've got a suspect.
When people have come in and they say, I have information, but I want a deal, are they usually truthful?
No.
Only to a certain point. I mean, obviously they're going to want to get the best deal. But I would analogize it to somebody coming in and trying to trade in a car to buy a new one. They're not going to tell you the transmission leaks. They're not going to tell you that that it was in an accident 6 months ago. But they will tell you, you know, the brand and the model, and that it's what you're looking for. And so before you go into one of those situations, there is a signed legal document requiring them to disclose everything and disclose everything accurately. So if you go forward then and the person does not tell you everything that they know about the case, you can rip that agreement up because they violated it.
And then can you charge them with everything, or is it all bets are off?
So they can come in and say, I can show you who it is. And you neglect to tell them that you were the getaway car driver. All the immunity that they've negotiated for is now out the door because you have held back information.
When you brought up just like when things get to court and defense attorneys, I was thinking back to the crime scene again, when the tape went up and down. It went down on February 4th. Then the FBI returned to do their processing on February 12th. Could that be a problem legally?
Yeah, it could be a problem in trial. But there are two things that go on here, Brian. There is finding Nancy alive. That's job one. So what you want to do, and I'm aware of things like this, where you will do something when you get a person in who picked up the ransom or something like that, and you need to find the victim before they are deceased. The interrogators, the interviewers are not.
There's the queen for the day.
Necessarily going to be concerned about what down
How are you?
the line is going to be admissible in court. Because they've already got them picking up the ransom. Now we're just
No, Justin, you have to have information to be queen for the day in this case. So
trying to save a life. So they may resort to things that are not admissible in court, make the testimony not admissible in court just to find a location of the person. So there's two factors here. Number one, we need to save a life. We don't care as much about prosecution. Then there's the other side where it says, if we can stay within these lines, we need to prosecute down the road. So closing or releasing the crime scene and then coming back and sealing it up again could be a big complication, and will be a big complication during trial.
Fine.
Because anything found after that first release of the crime scene can be assumed, or the defense attorney will want the jury to assume that everything is compromised and planted after that.
I've heard people criticize Savannah for not paying the ransom. And I'm sure there are people in this chat right now that probably feel that way as well. But I mean, how could you pay a ransom where you don't have proof of life and you don't even know that the person that you're uh, paying has your mother.
So it will hurt in the prosecution. It won't necessarily hurt in the efforts to find Nancy.
Yeah, makes sense, which is really kind of the more pressing issue right now, obviously.
As always, I appreciate Steve for talking with me. I appreciate all of you for
I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad. I know, but I'm telling you that there are people. I've seen it every time I've covered this. There are people that say this every single time. Why didn't they pay?
following along.
Who are you going to pay? A ghost?
Again, day 23 today. It's Monday, so thank you guys for who have followed me since the beginning of this whole thing. I really still have hope that Nancy can come home, that the Guthries can get sort of a resolution to this whole thing, some closure. And I will keep you guys posted with any updates. Appreciate you guys for subscribing. It's a hot day today, by the way, in Tucson. I think maybe the hottest day since I've been here. At least it felt like the hottest. But it cools down at night. So anyway, I'll keep you guys posted if there's any.
All right, so let's do this, and then maybe we'll listen to Nancy a little bit and see what she has to say. Okay, so this is from the Pima County Sheriff's Office. Just about 2 or 3 hours ago. Now, Brian, I don't think Brian's going home. I mean, I don't think you can. I don't think you can pay without proof of life. They were willing to pay, but they needed to know. They needed to know who had her and that she was alive. Okay. We are aware that the doorbell images released earlier in the investigation depict a suspect in different stages of attire, including with and without a backpack. There is no date or timestamp associated with these images. Therefore, any suggestion that the photographs were taken on different days is purely speculative. This remains an active and ongoing criminal investigation. As with any investigation, conclusions will be guided by verifiable evidence and established facts. Speculation without factual support does not advance the investigation process. Chris Nanos, Sheriff. Womp, womp, womp. I mean, I'm not even sure. What in the hell does that mean? We are aware that doorbell images released. We have. Different attire, including with and without a backpack. There is no date or timestamp associated with these images. Therefore, any suggestion that the photographs were taken on different days is purely speculative. Wow. But that they were looking for. Well, there is no timestamp. That's right. But I mean, they've sort of narrowed down the day that the time of when she went missing. So is he saying that he set his backpack down somewhere? Is that what he's saying? Let's look at this again. Okay, so he's saying that it's speculative. The sheriff is saying that it's speculative that these are different days, or that he doesn't know if they're different days or not. But Yeah, I heard that too. Well, yeah, I mean, it could be the same. It could be a different day. That says basically he's saying that the speculation is totally true, but he doesn't want the public to know this leaked info. I mean, that could be it. But why does he comment on everything? Like he comments on everything. Like he has to it's like he has to be controlling the narrative. Like he wants the flow, or like if that's the case, why does he even need to put that out there? Well, I mean, he is in charge. He's afraid of. Damn. He's too old. God, he's not making any. People do not like him, do they? All right, let's see what. Let's check in with old Nance here.
News: Savannah Guthries' mother, Nancy Guthrie, missing day 23.
It's not really breaking news.
How is this possible? With all the scientific advances, 50,000 tips, a $200,000 plus reward.
Eric says same guy, different day is the consensus. Yeah, it's got to be the same guy. And I would think it's different. I mean, the lighting is completely different, but not that I'm a lighting expert. I have no idea about lights. What difference would it make? Well, it would show you that this is I don't know. You would think that he's casing the joint, you know? Is that true? His brother really did die the day before this happened?
And we don't have an answer. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
when that guy said that it like they were twins, identical twins. Oh my God. Can you imagine identical twins going into a life of crime together? Is that is that something that happens? Has that ever happened? Identical. I know that I've heard of people committing crimes where their twin got in trouble for what happened, but I fully believe, this is what I believe. I believe that I believe it was different days.
Stunning developments tonight as we learn the crime scene is shambolic. Shambolic is the only way to put it. That's a cross between chaotic and shambles.
I didn't think that was a real word. I really didn't.
In the last days, a pizza delivery guy
Shambolic?
has actually walked up
Different.
onto the crime scene to deliver a pizza. True to a reporter or a journalist of some sort. But how is that happening? Why isn't the crime scene locked down?
They do.
There's that and so much more. That's not the most important.
There's a I think it's a Dateline episode. It's called The Devil's Twin. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, but I thought he did. I think he did say that it was. I thought he said that it was twins. Can't remember. I'm pretty sure he did.
Important part to
It's shambolic.
night. The most important part, as far as I'm concerned, is evidence of an accomplice that apparently has been overlooked.
Shambolic.
Take a look at this. Was an accomplice shining a cell phone light, the lamp, the flashlight on a cell phone, onto the porch guy so he could better obfuscate vision from the door cam? Look at that. Look off to the left. Do you see that? Could we isolate it,
I think I missed the pizza day. What was that about?
and enlarge it so our guests and the viewers could see this? Dave Mack,
Did that shambolic is a real word?
what is happening?
Oh.
Why does our staff and the sleuths on Twitter, X, have to find this?
It's shocking, Nancy. When our team came up with that, I looked at it. I thought, surely they're wrong. I think, to me, it looks clearly like a rectangular cell phone, and it looks like a second person. Because when you watch the suspect here trying to put the weeds on the camera, the camera angle shows you that the other light source is it's further away, and from the individual using his arm to cover up.
It is not this. It's not the same day. These are different days. He obviously came back with a backpack full of shit to pull off whatever crime that he was going to do, whatever crime that was. And I don't know what crime it is. All I know is that she's missing. There's blood on her porch. And that is what we know. That this guy is somehow involved in her disappearance. That's it. A fan ordered, dude. JLR's got fans that order him pizza. Huh?
Does that make sense? It's like it can't be the same person doing both. You can't be putting the weeds on the camera and then holding something else, a light source behind him and to the right.
I'm 100% on it being different days too. But why would he? But why would he? I don't get it. I just don't get the whole. He wouldn't put his backpack down.
Yes, you're saying that rectangle lit up off to the side is disattached from the guy fumbling around trying to cover up the door cam. Now, Scott Eicher joining us, he was an original founder of the FBI Cellular Analysis Survey Team, CAST. Who are they? They are the ones that are working feverishly. There's probably, from what I'm learning, 2 or more guys, women on the ground, and several holed away in Quantico or remote that are digging through the data that's being fed to them to isolate cell phones and other Wi-Fi emitting devices on the scene. That is how they pulled over the first guy. Remember him? Catch and release. That's probably why they raided the home of a neighbor, because those cell phones were popping up in and around the area of Nancy Guthries' home. I'm still curious, were they popping up at 2 a.m.? But we do know that all of those subjects have been cleared. That's what CAST, Cellular Analysis Survey Team, is doing. Now, you, Scott Eicher, also with Norfolk PD in the homicide division for many years. Now you're at Precision Cellular Analysis. You had the idea that rectangle could be.
Okay, so you think that it's same clothes, same night. I don't know, man.
The backpack, the reflection, the reflective part of the backpack. Was that one of your theories?
Yeah, it's really hard to tell from that video if that's the screen of a cell phone that's on, or is that a reflection of we've seen on the backpack as the guy's walking up, the reflective kind of armband. So is that part of the backpack or the waistband of the backpack that's, making a reflection that looks like a cell phone? But either way, whether it's in the video or not, the CAST team is going to be looking at all devices, either cellular or Wi-Fi devices or GPS devices that Google can collect in that area, so that we can start weeding out the ones that are supposed to be there at that time and the ones that are suspect.
Okay, I want to talk to you and the whole panel. Please jump in. Look at it again, because this lit up rectangle that looks like a cell phone is not jiving. It's not corresponding with the movements of the porch guy. He's moving. His arms and shoulders are moving. So it is stationary. See what I mean? Right there. It's stationary while he is moving, which means to me, and of course, I'm not a member of the FBI Cellular Analysis Survey team.
What if it was somebody that delivered to her house, like food or something, and then it's like she's an easy target, and then they start casing the joint, and then I don't know.
But
Just a thought.
that is impossible. He walks up and the reflective lighting is very apparent. Hold on, those strips. Move your hand, fella. Move your hand. Come on, I want to see those. There you go. Okay, Bueller. Joining me, guys, John Bueller. You know him well. Homicide detective, former homicide detective with Modesto PD. He helped lead the investigation that ultimately convicted Scott Peterson in the double murders of Lacey and Connor Peterson. Bueller is joining us, 31 years in homicide and robbery. What do you make of that cell phone, apparently a cell phone off to the left of the perp? To me, it means there's an accomplice.
Well, Nancy, I certainly couldn't rule that out, and it certainly fits. I'd like something a little bit clearer, but at the same time, he would have remained off the view of the camera the whole time, and so it might be a situation where he's not disguised, he's not masked up, he doesn't have the gloves on. So if he was the one who originally made the contact at the door to try and get her to open the door, it would be more likely that she would open for somebody who isn't disguised versus the guy who was standing there with the mask up. Who's going to open for that?
And Dave Mack, and I mocked him at the time, I gave him a really hard time, said, well, it's somebody dressed identically. But when you think about it, look, here he is, backpack, then no backpack. Is that the accomplice? Why would he go take off the backpack and put it back on, or show up without the backpack? Because when we see him first walking up, let me see that as well. When we see him first walking up and stepping onto the porch, he's already wearing the backpack. Now, Iker, this is your expertise. We can't tell really which came first. See, here he is walking up, first time that we know of, and he's wearing the backpack. So is that a second person without the backpack that indicates an accomplice and they outfitted themselves similarly? Or is this not in the right time sequence? What do you make of it, Iker?
Brian Enton is reporting that it is different days. That's his reporting. So
I think you got to remember, one, we're not seeing probably all the video that law enforcement wants to provide.
Similarly, or is this not in the right time sequence? What do you make?
same pants, same gloves, same black line across the jacket, same kind of zipper. It's the same person.
Make of it, Iker?
I think you got to remember, one, we're not seeing probably all the video that law enforcement wants to provide us. Two, the fact that we got this video is unique in the first place because the Guthries didn't have a subscription, so it was hidden back in the cloud. So hopefully they can find more video, and what we don't have is timestamps on these videos. So we don't know the sequence of events. Is it the first time the guy walks up, or the second time, or the third time?
Guys, we're analyzing what we believe to be newly discovered evidence, and that is evidence that there is an accomplice, and he's shining a light onto the door cam to help the porch guy obfuscate, hide the view from the porch cam, the door cam.
I really don't know if it's the same shoes or not.
cam. Seems like he's holding the light so the porch guy can see what he's doing. So we have not one buffoon, but two. This kind of takes away from the theory, John Bueller, that this is someone that had totally cased her home, because they would have had to see she has a door cam and they're just figuring that out and trying to figure out how to obscure their view.
Yeah, that well, it's kind of strange to me that somebody, no matter what they're up to, is not going to figure that somebody's got a one of the door cams, because they're so common nowadays. But the mere
Hey, Bub, quit spamming the chat. We saw it. Everybody saw your comment the first 6 times. Simmer down and just relax, or you can go sit in the corner. Good Lord.
fact that you've got the movement of that light source when he's moving the foliage up there around the camera suggests to
No, he's spamming the chat. He's just distracting people.
me that there's two, but that fits with a lot of things that come along with this thing. How are you going to transport this gal who's not in great health? You're not going to walk her across the desert. You're not going to take her through the backyard, because all these yards are completely covered with all sorts of brushwood and shrubs and cactus and things like that. It seems more likely that they would have taken her out the front, put her in a vehicle that maybe was on the circular driveway outside of the camera view. From a viewer point, when you're looking at the suspect coming up, the circular driveway goes from left to right from your view, and it would be real easy to have a vehicle out of the view of the camera over there that they were able to get her into and take her out of there.
So let me circle back to Eicher, Scott Eicher, joining us currently with PCA experts, precision cellular analysis experts. Scott, if the cell phone is lit up,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
that doesn't mean that the Wi-Fi is on, or does the Wi-Fi, well, I guess they could have turned it on and cut off the Wi-Fi. Would that in any way be picked up? Because I believe we were told that an iPad that was cut, that didn't have the Wi-Fi on, could still be trying to.
Kelsey, do you really think that he's the only one with that information, that that the 1,300 people that are watching this show right now, he's the only one that knows that that happened? Come on. I mean,
Connect. I mean, could we get that phone? Could Cast get it, even if the Wi-Fi was turned off?
All right, there's several different things that connect a phone to a network, right? It's the cellular connection, it can be the Bluetooth connection, and it can be the Wi-Fi connection. So all those things could be off, and the light or the screen on the phone could be still on, but who would do that, right? I mean, why turn all those devices off, all those connections off, and leave the phone on? So and to answer your question, yeah, you can look at Wi-Fi connections. Google does that on its subscribers. Cellular stuff we're obviously doing already, and Bluetooth we're doing already for Nancy's pacemaker. So we're taking a look at all those different triggers. Yeah.
Okay. Some of the devices that would show up in addition to cell phones would be, for instance, a smartwatch, correct?
Correct.
Just
yes.
a yes, no.
Yes.
just a yes, no.
An iPad.
How else was he going to answer that question, Nancy?
Yes, if it had Wi-Fi on.
Okay, so we would have to have the Wi-Fi turned on. What about a vehicle that already has, it's wired already for Wi-Fi?
By the way, look, we're all speculating. We're all let's not get all friggin' wound too tight.
Like a Uconnect.
Yes, a lot of the newer vehicles have both Wi-Fi connections and cellular connections.
Okay, what about a GPS device of some sort?
Yeah, that's because it didn't happen.
If it's just
why would they do that?
GPS, it's just seeing satellites and giving its own position based on the satellites. If it has no cellular connection or Wi-Fi, then we're not going to see that.
Jack, could the light have been kicked in by the same person? I don't know. I'll ask Jack and I'll get back to you.
What if somebody connected to Waze or Google Maps to get there? What about that?
Oh yeah, then you've got your cellular connection and a GPS or a Wi-Fi connection running on that phone that will guide you to that address. And we saw those searches of Nancy's address and Savannah's income that are important in the aspect that it was done prior to Nancy Guthrie missing. And those are the things that we really want to know.
Okay, let me talk to you about if the cell phone we think the accomplice was using to shine onto the porch, if they thought to turn off, like it's alleged, and let me see, okay, Brian Koberger, he's the poster boy for so many bad things, turned off a cell phone.
I mean, that guy's photo is haunting.
Went and did the crime.
Haunting.
Quadruple murder, then later turned on his cell phone. We have reason to believe, according to prosecution, it stated that Barry Morphew turned off his cell phone at a certain time.
He did turn off his cell phone at a certain time. And it was the only time that he had ever done that before.
During the time of Suzanne Morphew's murder.
He had never put his phone into, it was airplane mode. He didn't turn it off. But Barry Morphew put his phone into airplane mode during the time that his wife went missing.
And then turned it back on. That's what they're alleging. Hasn't been proven yet. If this guy turned off his Wi-Fi on his phone, right? You know how you just go in and you click turn off Wi-Fi? If he did that, couldn't we still trace that phone through cellular or Bluetooth?
If he turned off the Wi-Fi, yes, we can still check it, trace that through cellular and the Bluetooth part of it. What we do know is that if you think about it, why would he turn off or maybe he turned off his connections, his cell phone. That's why he has the walkie-talkie.
Brilliant. So on a cell phone, you can get a tracking from the cellular, the Wi-Fi, or the Bluetooth, correct?
Correct, from different aspects, yes.
And who would think, just logically speaking, to go in and turn off cellular, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth on your phone? I could see them turning off the Wi-Fi. I could see them turning off the cellular, but all of that, okay, you brought up something really important. In addition to seeing what we believe to be a cell phone lighting up off to the left of the perp.
Yeah, I don't think this person, or I don't know. I think we all, I think there's a bit of luck going on here with him, and I think that he's concealed himself pretty well.
There's also a close-up of the tip of a walkie-talkie. The
tip of a walkie-talkie?
See that, Controlman? If you could show me that. He's coming up. It's his left pocket. Wait for it. There you go. Okay. What do you make of that, Bueller?
Sorry, I'll take it down. The tip of a walkie-talkie. I think there's some luck involved. I really do.
Well, once again, it'll fully support the possibility or probability that he didn't act alone. Just like you.
Does that look like? Does that look like a walkie-talkie?
Guys were just talking about being wise enough to turn off Bluetooth, cellular, and Wi-Fi. How's he going to communicate with his buddy? So the cheap walkie-talkies that you would get, which are great to use around the yard and things like that, real easy for him to stick one of those in his pocket, and then he can make
breaker 1-9. We got a Nest Cam out here.
Contact with his buddy who's off.
I'm going to go ahead and put some shrubbery over it. 10-4
screen, and maybe it was the same guy holding that illuminated screen on the cell phone.
We think it's a walkie-talkie. So now I'm going to circle back to you.
Who's we? I don't think it's a walkie-talkie.
On this, because now we've got somebody that shopped for the backpack, the Walmart polyester holster, the ski mask, balaclava, the gloves, maybe the jacket, maybe the pants, and walkie-talkies, and a gun.
Dude, walkie-talkies are so friggin' loud. They're not, They really are allowed.
Though I don't think he bought the gun at a gun shop. I don't
Oh yeah, that reminds me. I need a backpack.
think that happened. But Dave Mack, what do we know about the use of walkie-talkie?
Well, what we do know is that right there, you're seeing what appears to be the antenna of a
Oh, get the.
walkie-talkie.
That's an enormous antenna. That's like military comms.
We found this walkie-talkie that has that similar antenna at Walmart. That's what you see there on the screen. These would allow for the suspect to communicate with someone else, like you mentioned a minute ago, without having.
We know how walkie-talkies work.
Any kind of cellular connection at all. It's a walkie-talkie. It works, channel to channel. It's just a regular signal that is not digital. It's picked up, using an antenna.
Frequency, we know.
And I mean, we had them as kids, and you can use those in a yard. Some of them go up to 2 or 3 miles, but in this case, they are available at Walmart and they do fit in your pocket like that.
I know all about walkie-talkies, from law enforcement for so many years, but my son went through the whole walkie-talkie phase. We all had to have a walkie-talkie, and then those would break. We'd have to get new walkie-talkies. They're still all over the house. The little ones, the big ones, you name it. So, okay, Iker, is there any way to trace?
She's a walkie-talkie expert.
Walkie-talkie activity.
If it's a 1 point.
Yes. It would be more likely, I think. It could be a police scanner too. Yes, it could be.
To 1 point transmission, you're not going to have that recorded in any cellular network or in any Google location information or, Facebook type stuff, location information. It's going to be quite difficult to track a single historical transmission over walkie-talkies. Now, there could be several people on the same frequency talking together. You can have a whole family talking to.
I was going to say too, I mean, it could be one of those, it could be like a barbecue lighter.
Each other, as you were talking about with your family. But a
walkie-talkie. Yeah, think of it. It is a weird name. Think about that. Like if whoever invented it, like, okay, we invented this communicator. So what do you do with it? Well, you can walk and talk with it. So if you're going for a little walkie, you could do a little talkie.
Don't think there's going to be any record of that unless the actual walkie-talkie is one of the newer ones that might have Wi-Fi or might have cellular on it too. If it's just the old peer over a low-level frequency, we're not going to be able to retrieve that or figure out when it occurred.
Would Cass be able to pick it up if it's connected to cell?
Yes, if it was using a cell tower in the area around the time she went missing, then that'll be in the records from the phone company.
So, Iker, you're saying no matter how many people may be on the walkie-talkies at that time, 2:00 in the morning, right outside her home, 2 guys at her front porch, maybe somebody in a vehicle, we still can't get that. You can't trace it through CAST.
I don't think so. Unless there's a cellular connection, we're not going to see it. Now, we've talked about the Google aspect. If it's a Google device, Google does track some of its devices, but that's via Bluetooth or cellular or Wi-Fi. I just don't think those are enabled that way. Those cheap.
The military invented it, used it, all operations, Josh, really what?
Walkie-talkies are not going to have that.
Okay, let me look at the walkie-talkie again. This fits in with the Nanos who's coming out and saying that there is more than one perp. That fits in perfectly with that. Now, to you, Bueller, I like the theory that there's more than one person. The more people involved, the more likely they're going to get caught. Explain why.
Well, it's going to be tough. You know, you got two people that are completely absent from their day-to-day life. Friends and family are going to wonder where they're at. You know, 3 weeks away, if they're holding Nancy and she's still with us, hopefully that's the case. They're going to have their life pretty much filled up with dealing with her. The one thing,
The walkie-talkie entered the chat, I would say about 6 minutes ago.
that is kind of strange to me, $202,000 and change, is going to pretty much strain loyalty between two bad guys. One's going to probably want to collect that and start his life new, become a witness instead of a co-responsible. So that's the one reason that the rewards are so great. But the other thing that is a problem here, that at least for me, I've been looking at this ever since it started, is they didn't put out a reward right away. They didn't put out a photo of Nancy showing that she was, duct taped up to a chair somewhere or something like that, so that whoever was going to pay the reward would know what they're making the purchase for. The mere fact that they don't have that out there makes me fearful that she didn't survive the abduction. So the reward's a great thing. Loyalty, well, if they're staying loyal for $202,000, they got to be pretty much more loyal than most of the people that I know.
That's more than one Bitcoin.
That's a pretty good chunk of cash, unless you are independently wealthy.
Bueller, I'm going to ask you a couple
You like saying Bueller.
of yes/no questions. Did you know cadaver dogs were already brought to the scene? Did you know that?
I did not know that. I was under the suspicion that they
Now
had
you
brought
know.
trackers.
Did you know that they did not get a hit? Yes, no, they did not get a hit. Did you know that?
Did not know that.
There has not been a body found yet, Bueller. Did you know that?
Yeah, he knows that.
I was pretty aware of that, yeah.
That given, we're moving forward trying to find Nancy Guthrie alive.
To whoever
Wow.
has her or knows where she is, that it's never too late. And you're not lost or alone. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And we are here. And we believe.
I like her guest. I mean, he seems like a...
And we believe in the essential goodness of every human being. And it's never too late.
American homeowners, the FBI has been and Nanos announces to the world, why does he keep talking? That the DNA found in the home, we believe is what he's trying to say, is, quote, mixed. And what does that mean? To Dave Mack, tell me about the bloody glove found by a couple near Nancy Guthrie's home over the weekend.
Yeah, and actually, Nancy, we got the news over the weekend, but this bloody glove was found on...
So when McDonough was on the show, on my show the other day, and he said, that the reason that he's walking up this way, and it makes sense. I never thought of it, was that he's trying to conceal his identity, but I still don't understand why he would be walking up the path like this to conceal his identity. So does he know there's a Ring camera there, or a Nest camera there, or does he not know? I mean, what is it? He must know. But
Day 10 of the search, this couple from Tucson, just out on their own, like many thousands of people who've been looking for Nancy Guthrie, they find a pair of gloves.
He's looking for the step.
About a mile or so away from Nancy Guthrie's home. The gloves are separated by about 10 feet. The gloves appear to have blood on them. And one of the gloves is sitting next to a rock, and that rock also has a blood droplet on it. The gloves were found, and the couple reported it did not get response from the FBI. They were like, can you come get these right now? We got bloody gloves near the scene. Didn't get any response from the FBI like they hoped, so they called the sheriff's department. That didn't get a quick enough response either. This couple, they're not law enforcement, Nancy. They're just a regular couple. So they called 911. Within 10 minutes, deputies were on the scene to collect the bloody gloves and the rock. That was a little over a mile from Nancy Guthrie's home. Then, breaking news now is that less than 2 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's home is a fairly active homeless encampment. I didn't know this. I would have thought this would have been one of the many places searched right away. But in this arroyo, an area that has like a tunnel going through it, the big metal cylinder that homeless people can get out of the weather, spend the night, a black backpack was found. This backpack was abandoned. There were 2 homeless people in this area when one of the searchers found it. Volunteer searchers, by the way, have been meeting in local retail parking lots to get together and decide where they're going to search. And that this backpack was found by one of these volunteer searchers. The volunteer did not touch the bag. The volunteer used a stick and called 911. Deputies came out and collected it. But thankfully, the volunteer recovered the backpack, didn't touch it, did not ruin any evidence. The area but we have volunteers looking for this stuff is covered up with really tough terrain, Nancy, a lot of cactus, a lot of bushes that will tear clothing. It's a difficult search. But again, we've got bloody gloves, blood on a rock, and now a backpack found not by law enforcement, but by volunteers who want to bring Nancy Guthrie home.
This video we're showing you is from our friends at Fox 10. Dave Mack, was it 1 bloody glove found or 2?
No. It was 2. It was a pair of bloody gloves. They were found about 10 feet apart.
We are also learning from Nanos that the DNA found inside Nancy Guthrie's home was, quote, mixed. And joining us right now is an expert in DNA and DNA analysis. It's Susanna Ryan, lab director, forensic DNA analyst at Pure Gold Forensics. She is a forensic DNA consultant at Ryan Forensics, 25 years in the DNA business. Susanna, thank you for being with us. What does that mean? Nanos has announced it's mixed DNA. What obstacles does that present?
Well, it really doesn't surprise me. They're picking up what we call mixtures or mixed DNA. That means there's DNA from more than one person, could be multiple people. And so what happens when you have mixtures of DNA, it becomes very difficult to interpret the profiles and basically kind of piece out the different contributors, right? So you have this kind of jumble of DNA that, number one, might be too much of a mixture, cannot go into the CODIS database, and also becomes very difficult, if not impossible, to work with genealogical testing.
What do you make of the bloody gloves found out in the elements? How does that weigh into an analysis?
Well, I mean, is it really blood? Number one, sometimes things look like blood and it's not. Is it related to the scene or to the crime? Who knows? If it was found on the 10th day of this event, I can guarantee you they already have DNA results from that. Now, to your question about being out in the elements, that certainly can have an impact on DNA. But if it is blood, that's something that typically has a lot of DNA. Any kind of body fluid would have a lot of DNA and would take longer to break down to the point that we can't get results. So I would guess that they already have results from that and perhaps have determined that it's simply not relevant to the case or associated with the case.
Or if it is relevant, I'm sure they're not revealing that. To you, John Bueller, who came to the consciousness of the nation during the Scott Peterson prosecution, what do you make of finding it so many days in?
Well, that's a problem for me because there's no way to necessarily associate it with the crime. Just like anything that's coming up now, 3 weeks after she was abducted, it could have been dumped anytime in that 3 weeks and it's not even associated. But again, like we've talked many times, you can't ignore it because there's where the defense creates reasonable doubt. So you do have to collect it, but you do prioritize it whether or not you're going to put it in right away for DNA testing. You might have some other things that are more relevant that could lead to the abductors quicker than something that was found 3 weeks later.
And Dave Mack, you told
You're trying to say that this is a homeless person?
I mean that the backpack was found near a homeless encampment.
It's actually in I'm trying to think of the name of.
I'm sorry, but that backpack, man, it's not even the same it's not even the same style backpack.
Like in a culvert where you have a long pipe.
It's where people live. It's somebody, they took somebody's back. They took a homeless person's backpack. I mean, it's not funny, but it's true.
Where homeless people, and this is in an area about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home, a fairly large active homeless encampment. And when the backpack was discovered, it was discovered abandoned, and there were 2 homeless people there who actually were not there by the time police arrived. They skedaddled. So,
Okay, so bloody gloves, backpack. I tend to think the backpack is not connected, but there's the other issue, Bueller, of
People got mad at me because I said that if I was the sheriff responding to that, I'd have thrown the backpack away, although I wouldn't have actually thrown it away, but I would have just been like, go put that backpack back.
finding articles that were overlooked, if they were there at the time, by searchers. That's sloppy. And number 2, regarding sloppy searches,
Not only
take off your gloves.
Not only that, it's the same. It's not the same brand. It doesn't even look like the same backpack, but it's not the same. It's like,
As a searcher and throw them down on the ground. Why in the world, Bueller?
she loves saying Bueller, man. She loves that. The thing.
Well, I said this got me
Bueller.
stumped along with many other things in life. But when it comes to things like this, I don't even know why a searcher is going to be wearing gloves unless you actually see something that's worthy of picking up. Then, of course, the best thing to do would be call the locals, get the sheriff's office over there to recover the thing. But don't get involved in it yourself. If anybody who's ever worn latex gloves, they're not really very comfortable. Last week it was kind of chilly down there in the mornings, so of course you might wear regular, warmth gloves, something that's going to keep you warm. But as far as walking around doing a search wearing latex gloves, I can think of a lot of other things I'd rather be wearing than those, because they're never comfortable, and disposing them is. I'm working day to day and doing things down here. I don't put latex gloves on very often. There's no real need to.
But it's irresponsible when you're searching for potential evidence from a kidnap.
Says AZ Cinnamon Girl. Thank you for your super chat. You can tell the 2 images are from 2 different nights. That's what I think. By the moonlight, January 31st was a full moon. January 11th was not. I think that they're 2 separate nights. I think that whoever was planning this was doing some, I guess, what you would call reconnaissance work.
And you contaminate the scene by throwing your own gloves down. So
these people, this person could be much more sophisticated than we think. I know that everybody's saying, it could be it's an amateur, blah, blah, blah. I mean, at this point, who freaking knows?
every searcher, if DNA is found, is going to have to be excluded.
Really?
And that takes me back to DNA found in the home. Let's go out to Scott Eicher, as you know, joining us, digital forensics expert, founding member of the FBI Cellular Analysis Survey team. He is now a precision cellular analyst. Scott, the DNA at the scene that has been newly discovered is going to be subject to, if we ever do get to a trial, when and if, an intense cross-examination, because it wasn't found originally by Nanos's team. I believe it was found by the FBI. That's going to lead to claims it was planted. But my theory, Eicher, is that unlike, let's just go with O.J. Simpson, the victim's blood, Denise Brown and Ron Goldman's blood, was on his socks, found in near his bed. He claimed successfully at trial, it was a lie, of course, that that blood evidence had been planted on his socks. But in this case, it's impossible because we don't have a suspect yet in order to plant his DNA. So that won't work. Even though it was found days into the investigation, once the FBI was finally invited in, there's no suspect to match it up to.
Yeah, we run into I do. I understand your question, and I do see the aspect here of finding that DNA a little bit later is going to cause some questions at trial. It's going to be brought up by the defense, but you got to deal with what you have, right? I mean, if something happened that they didn't collect it later on, they learn some new information. They go back into the house and collect it. As long as this document.
Zen, check this out. Pima County Sheriff told ABC News on Friday. You sure this was this wasn't like last week?
Correctly and photographed and all that stuff is going to be able to come into court. There's going to be arguments about it, but it'll later come into court.
It never gets there.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. Between the grocery store and insurance, it's up to be put into CODIS. I believe that's already been tried. We didn't get a hit. Now put into genetic genealogy databanks. Tell me how that's going to happen.
All right. I want to tell you the chat. I really do appreciate you guys being a part of this. You know, we watch these things together, and you know, I try to pay attention to the chat as much as I can. And thank you for being very interactive. It makes it more enjoyable to discuss these kinds of things. And thank you for being respectful of each other as well. That's to me, that's a big deal. And I do really appreciate it.
So when you have a mixture, we used to use what we called manual interpretation. We just looked at the profile. We tried to determine, is there someone that's contributing more of the DNA or less of the DNA, and sort of piece those individuals apart. That's not always possible. We have some new tools called probabilistic genotyping. So these are software programs, and they are, you know, they are able to do computations and do the analysis much quicker than a DNA analyst could do manually. So they're able to, the software programs can look at up to 5-person mixtures and help sort of what we call deconvolute, but that doesn't always happen. When you have that many people, you simply many times cannot completely separate them out. Now, if you had a suspect that you could do a direct comparison to, that's where those probabilistic genotyping programs really shine, where we're able to make use of all of the data.
Okay, hold on. You said 5. What about?
No, never one person. But I know who Dan Lebitard is, and I never told you look exactly and sound like Dan Lebitard. Not like Dan Lebitard. Sound like him? Maybe. Hold on. God, really? I don't know. Dan Lebitard. I mean, I don't know. Dan Lebitard. I like Dan Lebitard. I just all right. Back to it. All right, we both have a beer. I'm a fan of Dan, by the way. I don't know. Somebody said I look like Dom DeLuise once, so. Thank you. Oh, my bad. Okay, hold on. Before everybody starts saying no sound, hold on. Hold on. Here we go. It looked like the potato guy from Close Encounters. I don't think I like you.
That case, amongst many others. So hopefully, Nano sent the DNA there. Their expertise is in minuscule amounts of DNA, degraded DNA, such as DNA out in the elements or mixed with mud, mixed DNA, such as what we've got here. The DNA is going on right now. It will then be put into, as we said, a genetic genealogy database.
April, you know how it is. Like, that's what I'm saying. But although Dan Lebitard's Spanish and so am I, but I get your point. We're like, I'm half Spanish.
So we're waiting. In the meantime, what does...
Yeah, it's that's exactly what they're saying. All fat Mexican guys that have half white parents, or I don't know.
Lululemon have to do with this? Well, keep your eyes peeled. Control room, please show the Lululemon insignia. Okay, Dave Mack, what does this have to do with Nancy Guthrie?
Well, apparently the person seen on the Nest door camera trying to put, weeds over it, this appears on the left sleeve cuff there of the jacket. Apparently, I say apparently because I didn't know that Lululemon had something that men would wear, and I think this person, Lululemon, sorry,
Lululemon. Dave Mack, you're the investigative reporter. Trot on down to the mall and figure out how to say it. Lululemon.
Wow, bro.
I think where you're going with this is that you didn't know they had men's clothing. You thought it was just for 8th grade girls. They do have men's clothing. John Bueller. When my daughter was going to a birthday party and the little girl wanted a pair of Lululemon tights, they were $90. And that was like 4 years ago. So what perp is wearing...
He wants to go down to the mall so he can pronounce Lululemon.
Wearing an 8th grade girl Lululemon outfit. Who is this?
Well, pretty stylish guy, at least among the people I run around with, so I could see him doing that. But he's sloppy. Why would you have anything like this being out there, whether it's the reflective strips on the shoulder straps of the backpack, being able to turn to be able to determine what it is? Anything like that that's going to be able to be determined by detectives is sloppy work. But again, it might suggest that he didn't do a good job casing, or whoever told him about the residence didn't tell him that there was that Nest camera in front, which supports him having to go out and get some weeds to try and cover the thing up because he's surprised when he first sees it.
I didn't even know Lululemon was a brand.
So it not the faculty of Stanford here with these guys doing this thing, but again, it's still one of those events that I think the crime backfired on him. My real fear is that she might not have survived the abduction because of the circumstances that we have this far along. And now what do you do? And if that might be one of the reasons one of them hasn't.
That's what you do. Before you opine anymore and go down that avenue, let's review the evidence and how we can move the investigation forward. To you, Iker, you and I have talked about the FBI, let's just say fiber and textile database. It's compiled from so many cases where you analyzed clothing fiber, carpet fiber, all sorts of clothing that has been used in various crimes for years back. We're looking at a guy that
some of it I think is shtick on her part, and some of it I think she just genuinely can be like kind of mean.
Shops at Walmart because we know the Ozark hiking backpack.
I didn't even know.
We know he likely, and jump in, Dave Mack, if I've got any of this wrong. Everybody, please don't wait on me to call on you. The polyester holster, not typically
wait on me to call on
used for a revolver, not typically used for a semi-automatic. You can see the clasp over for the hammer. That said, That's sold at Walmart, and very few of them in the Tucson area.
Oh, no.
Just 2 had it available at the time that Nancy went missing. You've got the backpack, you've got the polyester holster, you have the ski mask.
I do.
A similar one is sold at Walmart. Some people call it a balaclava. You have the jacket, you got the pants, you got the shoes, you got the walkie-talkie. So, Scott Eicher, we're looking for a guy that has all of those things. Now, to top it all off, the cherry on top of the sundae is the Lululemon jacket, the Lululemon cuff. So, how
Okay, so Lululemon and a $3 backpack.
does the FBI go about putting all of that clothing together and finding it? It would be a gift from heaven if the guy bought several pieces of it on the same receipt. But what if he didn't buy it in brick and mortar? What if he bought it online?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great to find a suspect or several suspects that bought all these items at a Walmart all at the same time, right? Wouldn't that be perfect?
Yeah.
But that's probably not the way it's going to happen. They could have bought it separately. They could have had a girlfriend buy it. They could have, bought it online. And when we deal with the online stuff, that's a whole nother
Could have bought it at Queen for a day.
world, right? You're
Shout out Justin.
going to have to get Amazon's cooperation. You're going to have to give them a search warrant. You're going to have, and hopefully they can give you a list of how many thousands of people that might have bought these specific items. So, whether it's brick or mortar
Okay,
or where
stop
it's
right there.
Amazon.
Stop right there. So, stop. Of course, they've given them a warrant. Okay, let's just jump ahead, please. So they've given a warrant to Amazon. They've given a warrant to Walmart. But can't you see, wouldn't you agree that it would be limited to the Tucson area, not everybody in the world that bought these items? For Pete's sake, well, of course, we had Kohberger in our sights before they did the Amazon search. So that made cracking Kohberger's Amazon search easy. We don't have a perp yet, but it can be limited to the first Tucson, then going out who could have ordered at least one or more of these items. Come on. You've got the walkie-talkie. You've got the backpack. Right there. You've got the jacket, the balaclava.
It would be great if we could find it.
You see where I'm going with this, Eicher? Help me out. Throw me a bone.
I do. We got to remember this is still a massive investigation, no matter
I'd throw her a bone. Hopefully she'd chase it off a bridge.
if it's just bought it
I'm just kidding.
in Tucson, or then you got to start, as you said, going further out from Tucson. And how far do you go? And it really just depends. And when you're dealing with Amazon, where was it delivered? Was it delivered to Tucson? Do they live in Phoenix? Anything like that. You got to start with a large database and start whittling it down. And it's a lot of grunt footwork too.
I'll tell you where I would start. You know where I would start? Where that Google search was on Google Trends. That was the person was looking for, we think, Savannah Guthries' salary and Nancy Guthries' home address. I would start in that area. Thoughts?
Oh, that's definitely true.
I mean, do I have to spoon feed you, Eicher?
I'm trying, girl. I'm trying.
Hi, guys. Nancy on Fox. The whereabouts of Nancy Guthrie.
I have to spoon feed you.
Please dial toll free. And let me remind you, there is an over $200,000 reward. It's getting close to $250,000. And
do you want breakfast or not? Just yes or no. Can I get the crust taken off my yes or no?
By the way, don't call the tip line with your theory or your own questions, or for Pete's sake, no premonition.
But Mom, I don't want. Yes, I do. I'm gonna spoon feed you.
Premonitions. No premonitions. Their words, not mine. If you know or think you know anything, dial toll free 800-225-5324. Repeat, 800-225-5324. Or if you wish to remain anonymous and you don't want the nearly $250,000, dial 520-882-7463. 520-882-7463. And think about it. Is Nancy Guthrie still alive? Is she being held in some freak's basement?
We're all scared to answer, Nancy.
Are they feeding her? Is she crying right now? Does she wonder, are my children looking for me? Will I ever see them again?
Oh my God. Of course her children are looking for her. No, she doesn't think her children are looking for her.
Please call with any tip you may have. Nancy Gray signing off for tonight, but I'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you to our guests and thank you for being with us as we continue the search. We are not giving up the search for the mother of our friend, Savannah Guthrie. Help us find Mrs. Nancy Guthrie.
She's signing off and she's going to go to sleep by hanging upside down in her closet. Good Lord. She was rough. All right. Well, I guess that's it for tonight. I guess this is a development of some sorts. I don't know. I don't know if it is or not. I believe it's the same person on a different night. And, who knows? Where do we go from here? Very sad. Very sad. It really is sad. I mean, it's just a terrible thing. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much. I will probably catch you tomorrow and be back around the same time tomorrow. And let's discuss it again. I appreciate all you guys being courteous and you guys are awesome. Appreciate you. Thank you. I will do this one. How about this? This is a little rock.
This is a power climber. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? You gotta walk the talk. Yes or no?
Yes. Do you want a color? Yeah, but can I? Yes or no? Yes. Oh, no. Ah. Ah.